All right, if you're watching this video, you are probably thinking or maybe got denied for sleep apnea, but you know that time is running out. You know that eventually the VA is going to remove the 50% rating from sleep apnea, and you feel like you can get this thing service connected, but maybe you didn't have any in service treatment records, so you never went to the doctor during your time in the military. Well, I'm here to tell you that there is still time and it is possible to get this thing service connected even without in-service treatment records. But of course, you have to be able to anchor this thing to your time in service, and there's a lot of different ways to do it. And in this video, I'm going to tell you about someone close to me that did not have any in-service treatment records. Actually, went to the doctor for it, never got diagnosed, and almost 50 years later, through just some evidence collection or gathering, was able to articulate it and get it connected to service without having to pay for an expensive Nexus letter or anything. So I want you to know that it is possible, and I'm going to give you that information in this video. But before I do that, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button if this is good content for you. I put this stuff out free of charge, and it's based on my own experiences, so I hope that it's helpful for you. But it motivates me to keep doing that when I see all of the subscribers racking up. So jumping into it, number one, I'm just going to briefly go over the rating criteria just so that you have a little bit of awareness. But the top one, which makes this thing a high-value claim, is a 50% rating, and because it requires the use of a CPAP. That's what's going to be removed eventually. And I think that this one's important because although the CPAP is, treating you, it's kind of a pain in the butt to wear at night. I assumed I don't have this condition, but I know people who do. So if you have to wear a CPAP every night to sleep, you deserve a 50% rating. Okay. And then 30% would be like persistent daytime sleepiness despite treatment. And then of course, 10% is symptomatic, but not requiring a CPAP. And then there's always a 0% rating, diagnosed but no symptoms. So now that we know the ratings, let's jump into what if this thing was not diagnosed in service, okay? Before, knowing anything, you have to know that all claims all the time are going to need three things. They're going to need a diagnosed condition, they're going to need an in-service event, and a nexus, okay? So no matter what condition you're putting in, you're going to need those things. And this condition is no different. In fact, that criteria is the reason why sleep apnea is a really hard one to get approved. Okay, so if you have no in-service treatment records for this, and then there's a lot of you out there that have this, and although I'm not going to guarantee you can get this thing granted, I want to just kind of inspire you that if you have any type of records or any type of symptoms that you can draw upon, that you watch this video and consider putting in a claim for it. Mainly because I know it's possible. I also know it's going to be hard. But because once they get rid of this condition, it's a high value claim, or once they get rid of that rating, and this thing turns into less than a high-value claim, you miss out. So a real-world example, someone close to me has been dealing with the symptoms of sleep apnea since, I want to say over 50 years. While he was still in service, he had these symptoms. He was snoring a lot. I think that maybe just sleep apnea didn't exist back then. He did go to a military doctor. He was basically not even diagnosed. The treatment options, were like, sleep with a tennis ball on your back or something like that. He couldn't even find those records to prove that he went to the doctor back when he was in the military. Tried everything, couldn't locate those records. That base had shut down, and none of that stuff was out there for him. What he ended up doing was he wrote a personal statement. And he explained that he went to the doctor. He said where he went to the doctor. And he explained like what happened while he was at the doctor, like what the doctor told him to do. He also had his spouse write a personal statement to attest to the fact that, she knew that her husband had went to the doctor. She, attested to the types of symptoms that they had. And then the veteran, also in his personal statement showed that, although he wasn't diagnosed back then, he continued to go to the doctor for these symptoms that he was experiencing. And the doctor, eventually, and I think it was even a VA doctor, diagnosed him with sleep apnea and got him set up. And he had since, continued to go through treatment for all these years later. I think initially he was denied service connection, but when he started putting all of those pieces of the puzzle together and documenting it on a personal statement, even though he didn't have those records to prove that he actually went to the doctor, it was enough for the VA to say, yes, you're getting a granted service connection, and you're going to get the 50% rating. So that was a huge win for this veteran. And so, if you have the same type of circumstances, and maybe you can't find your records from when you went to the doctor while you were in the military, maybe somehow you can recreate that by explaining yourself. Maybe there's other things. Maybe you didn't go to the doctor, but maybe you still had those symptoms at some point in your military service, that you can explain how these things started. Remember, everything has to be anchored back to the service somehow or some way. And that's how this veteran did it. And that's how you can do it. So the future of sleep apnea rating, we don't know when it's going to happen, but eventually that 50% rating is going to go away. What I suggest you do, a recommendation, take it for whatever it's worth, is put in an intent to file immediately. How do you do that? You go on va.gov, just like you're going to fill out a claim, and then it should secure your ITF, or you call a VSO or call the VA. They'll help you out. Begin collecting your evidence. I just told you that you have to anchor everything into some sort of, into military service somehow. Symptoms started, went to the doctor, had an injury, whatever it is. Begin, even let's just say that you injured your nose while you were on, and now, you have, you're able to gather evidence from your current doctor to say that nose injury may have caused this, or maybe, something. Begin collecting your evidence, right? You're putting together a theory, and you're going to work with experts to get that theory proven. And this is, and that's how you're going to do it. So you're going to begin collecting that evidence. You're going to prepare your personal statement. If you had symptoms, whatever it is, explain it. Make it a roadmap for the VA rater and the C&P examiner to understand where you're coming from. And if it's logical and you can support it with medical evidence, it'll be all the better. Another thing you can do as a bonus, and this may not be necessary in your case, or it might be completely necessary. Talk to your doctor about your situation. Explain your story. Tell your doctor what your theory is. Maybe they'll help you by writing a letter to show the nexus and how they, think to the standard of at least as likely as not. They might be able to help you. If you're interested in reading more about how to get your doctor to give you a free nexus letter and what it should say or how I did it, check in the description down below. I have a link to my website, and there's a section in there where I talk about my experience talking to my doctor about my situation and how I got my doctor to write a nice letter for me, which ended up being a Nexus letter, free of charge, didn't charge me anything, and the same's available to you. I'm not charging you for the website. I'm not charging you to look at it. It's simply there. It's just click on the link and check it out. All of these things, doing all these things right, could get you service connected at 50%. I'm also going to throw out a real quick pitch for a paid tool and a free tool that I have on my website. I have a VA claim dashboard. I put a lot of time into it, so I do charge for it. At the time of the recording of this video, I charge $5 for it. I'm thinking about increasing it to $20, just because I think it's valuable. But it essentially is set up, and you'll see pictures on my website of how it is, but it's essentially set up to go in phases. So if you're brand new to this, where should you be? Phase 1. And then maybe going into the more complex claims, phase 2, secondary conditions, but it doesn't leave off direct service claims and presumptive. It has a space there so that you'll be okay, I know I need to take advantage of these. And obviously, it will take some time on your part to get everything into the dashboard. But once you have it in there, it's kind of like your own little roadmap, and it'll keep you on track. I do have a free one on there. It's called the Brainstorm Worksheet. If you want the link to that, just put it just type in the comment section Brainstorm Worksheet, and I'll send that to you. It's free. It's essentially the same thing, but it's more of like a, hey, I don't know where to go from here. Like what condition could I claim? And it'll give you, just a couple questions, and it'll help you figure out whether or not you could be service connected for something, whether you meet the big three. And it's something that you could print out and bring to your VSO to get a little bit of help. But that's free of charge. Just type in Brainstorm Worksheet. Okay, get professional help is always something that's out there for you. You don't have to do this alone. Obviously you're doing the right thing by getting educated, by getting on here, watching these videos, going to websites, going to Reddit forums and Facebook groups. You need to educate yourself so that you can figure out and be be the leader of your own claim. I do have a Facebook group. Help me get to 100 members. If there's a link in the description below, join that Facebook group. We'll be able to get some of your questions answered. There's, peers that are in there, veteran peers that are going through the same process. So good information in there. I'd appreciate it if you did sign up for that. That's also free. And then, of course, I've already talked about the Brainstorm Worksheet and the claims dashboard. But lastly, and probably most importantly, the VSOs, right? There's a lot of free folks out there that can help you out. VFW, American Legion, just your county or your state VSO. Eventually, going to them initially, sometimes I didn't have a lot of luck initially with my VSO, but later on, as I started learning the process, it was helpful, which is why I think the Brainstorm Worksheet is a good tool, and also the claims dashboard as well. So check those things out, and I hope that helps you out. Again, please don't forget to like the video, subscribe. You'll get more information as videos are put out. And as always, check informedveteran.com for more information about the claims process. And I hope that this information helped you out.